We got that. What's going on, good people? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Y'all know what time it is. It is Wind Down Wednesday time.
I should have got some wine.
If you would like, ma'am, you can step away briefly and come right back until we get all this introduction stuff out. But it is Wind Down Wednesday. That's what we call it.
Okay, I'm giving you a little sippy sip. Be right back.
Yes, ma'am. So we are here. We are here to discuss some things. What's going on, my friend? What's up? How you doing? Miss Chanice?
I'm good.
Good. How things been going at the crib with the family and the kids?
Man, everything been going pretty good. It's hot.
Happy anniversary. Happy anniversary.
Thank you. Yes, we just celebrated 20 years of a blessing, 20 years of greatness, 20 years of lessons and learning. So yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. I was like, look at y'all celebrating life, enjoying each other. It don't get any better than that in this pandemic. You got to make it what you can make it. At the end of the day, we do what we can.
Memories.
Tomorrow isn't promised. We could be one of those that's suffering from the virus, but thank God we are. So welcome, my good people. It is Wind Down Wednesday. Y'all know who I am. I'm Sandy. I'm sitting here with my girl.
It's Chanice. Y'all know what time it is.
And we got a dear friend that's sitting over there. What's your name, honey?
My name is Akili Barnes. Hello, everyone.
Hey.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. We are so glad to have you. We are thankful that you took the time out of your busy day.
Yeah.
Don't know.
It was fair in a moment. I was like, yeah, I'll be able to do that. Sure. That's fine. It's a Wednesday evening. I'm not that busy. It's the summertime. So I was like, that's cool. I have a lot of things to say. So you provided the perfect opportunity.
Which is wonderful. And that's why I said, I was like, Courtney, let me see. Ask Akili if she'd come on and talk to us about the upcoming reopening of school.
Of schools. Mm-hmm.
You and I know it's big. It's big.
Yeah.
So, Miss Akili,
yes.
So kind and tell the people a little bit of something about yourself.
Okay. So my name is Akili Barnes. I am a teacher through the Cincinnati Public Schools District, and I'll just leave that at that. I'm entering my 4th year of teaching, and I am currently a graduate student at Northern Kentucky University, getting my master's in educational leadership. I got into teaching because, one, the field doesn't have enough of us in the field, and I didn't have too much of a positive experience when I was a child, and I wanted to make that difference in my students' lives. I also want to, work my way up into administration and help change curriculum and what is being taught in schools. So that's just all about it.
Are you from Cincinnati?
I am from Cincinnati, Ohio. I graduated from Princeton High School, class of 2012. And then I went on to college at the University of Toledo, where I ran track and field and then got my undergraduate degree in early childhood education.
Now, when you ran track and field at Princeton, did you win any medals or anything like that?
Did I win any medals? Yeah, we won medals. We set records. We qualified. Like, look, we were a phenomenal team. Like, the girls I ran with, we were great. So between AAU and high school, I have like a chest full of medals and trophies and ribbons and all types of recognitions and things like that.
So you understand what it means to go to school, get an education, move forward, and then come back.
And
try to give the same thing that was given to you to somebody else.
Yes. See, I truly believe like the whole concept, it takes a village, because I had that, and I feel that children nowadays, they don't have that. And teaching has allowed me to become a parent. I feel that I have parented so many of my students. I look at them as my own children, and I love them dearly. So definitely coming back, instilling in them what I had instilled in me. I love that. Good. Welcome, Robin.
Welcome, Robin.
How are you? I'm all right.
Good. Thank you for joining us at such, short notice, but, better late than not at all, because I'm sure the two of you have mass information that you would like to share, because the good thing and the bad thing, I don't have any kids going back to school.
Right.
So I don't have anybody that's going to college, but I just wanted, Shanice and I wanted somebody to come on and to talk about how you guys feel about the schools opening, because that's what, in a couple weeks.
Yeah, August 24th.
So how do you all feel? Oh wait, let me back up some. Mr. Robin, would you be so kind to tell the people who you are and a little bit about yourself?
I go by Coach Morton. A lot of people don't call me Robin, but I'm Robin Morton. I teach at Taft High School. I'm the track coach, and I'm assistant for girls basketball. I'm from Lexington?
No, you didn't.
I'm from Lexington. I went to UK. I ran track there for 2 seasons. That's about it. I teach PE and health. And
Where are you going, Morton?
I am walking over to the school now.
Okay.
They got basketball conditioning, and I was gonna see what they was doing.
Got it. So you already working?
Yeah, we've been working since for cross country conditioning started in early June.
Wow.
So what precautions are you taking with the conditioning that you're doing? Because this is major, because a lot of people don't want to send their children back to school. They don't want their kids to come back to school because of this pandemic. And how do you feel about that? So what are you doing, not just to protect you, but protect the kids too?
I mean, I wear my mask when we're supposed to. What's up? And we had to check their temperatures. When they come in,
every day.
Gun. We have like a questionnaire of stuff that we ask them. Two people have had it since we started doing this, and then like the team gets shut down from practicing for like 3 weeks. People on girls basketball had it, and they get shut down for 3 weeks. I guess they got a quarantine. You can't come back to practice till you get cleared by a doctor with like 2 negatives.
How long does that usually take?
It takes, I don't know, because nobody's came back from girls basketball that tested positive. They all still out because they haven't got cleared yet. But like knowing that we've had these scenarios in the summer with we have to have less than 9 kids and 1 adult. So if you get two coaches, you get 18 kids. So if it's just me, I can only have 9. So with these very small groups, if we still had like a little outbreak within that, I'm scared of having a full classroom, full school building. Because I'm not scared for myself, but I'm just saying that the numbers or whatever could go, I guess, exponential for real.
Right.
The whole sports thing to me is weird because we're still scheduled to have sports, even though we might not have school. Or some people are going online and still gonna have sports, like if it's safe enough to play sports.
Well, that doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make no sense at all.
At all. Doesn't make sense at all.
I don't know. I know you downtown near Taft High School, and I don't know what the your perception is, but you keep cutting in and out.
Yeah.
So I know you're a busy man and all, but if you can take 5-10 minutes, halt for a minute and give us a little bit of something, we'd greatly appreciate it. I know you're busy.
Morton.
Say, I couldn't really hear you. Can you say that again?
You breaking up. Find a spot with a good signal and stay there.
Yeah, you breaking up, Mr. Morton, Coach Morton.
I'm walking back towards the front of the school where the signal's better.
Oh, okay. Until you get back to that point. My thing is that to me, and what Shanice was getting ready to say, it doesn't make sense to not have school, but you can still play sports and you're still planning on having sports with all these kids that may be infected or may not be infected. And our Dr. Anissa Shomo states that it can take up to a month for the test to even come back negative.
Wow.
So you may have a whole month of your students or your athletes being off, and
Right.
so now you're dealing with a half team because you don't have anybody that can play or run track or play basketball, football, or whatever. I don't get it. I just don't understand what your system is doing and how you all are planning to open up this school with
Right.
these kids. And I know, Akili, you work with babies.
Mm-hmm.
So
What grade?
with
What grade?
So I teach first grade. So I have the babies. I work with first grade. 6, 7-year-olds. And so is it just open the response, or should I be like focused on a certain question about the age group?
open
Just-
response.
So we were planning on coming back after spring break. You know, we sent home 2 weeks worth of work. We're gonna have an extended spring break. March 13th was the last day I saw all of my students. It was a Friday, March 13th. Sent them home like, okay, 2 weeks, I see y'all. Haven't seen them since. And being that we were out since March, and most of my students with the demographic that I teach probably have not done a single thing since March. Now that it being August and we're getting ready for the fall, I'm not sure what type of deficits they face. I don't know what the environment they have been in through all that time. So when it comes to going back or when it comes to not going back, I'm pretty much split, because I know that the demographic I teach, not going to school is going to set them back even further. But then is it worth the risk that it could pose bringing the kids back to school? And then I know that keeping them at home may not be the best for some of their situations, or even the way that they learn through remote learning. So I'm really split. I know that CPS has a lot of preventative measures between checking temperatures, like Prophet Morris said, hand sanitizing stations, washing stations, walking in the hall with social distancing, shutting down the cafeteria, having lunch and breakfast in rooms. So they have a lot of measures in place to have a successful reopening. But as well as the surveys, a lot of people were okay with sending their child back to school, and then a lot of people were okay with online learning. I think that people were just wanting their child to go back to school because they've had their children since March, not because they are really looking like, okay, do I send them back to school? Is that risking their safety? I think it's just like they just want to just release their children at this point.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I can see that being, especially for some of the children who are in communities or underprivileged where they count on breakfast and lunch for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like those may be the only meals that
So
you
those
have.
are the only meals that they eat. The
So
only meals that they eat.
See that. Yeah, I can really see that happening because of lack of at home, and you know,
Right.
and but you're taking a great chance, because all it takes is one, and that
Right.
person can be asymptomatic and infect a whole lot of people,
Right.
and they be just fine.
Right.
My thing too is, I know you love your babies.
Fact.
I'm
gonna tell him to just hang up. I was gonna say something happened to his signal.
You have,
Hey,
I mean, it's like when you got 6, 7, when you're working with those babies,
Mhm.
it's very difficult to keep your hands out because they are touchy-feely kids.
Mhm.
Now, I don't know what CPS has in place as far as, because that's going to be very hard for you dealing with
Yeah.
those babies.
Yeah, the physical, yeah.
So what does CPS have in place for you and the rest of your team, because you work with elementary babies, you work with
Right.
baby babies. What
Right.
do they have in place for you all, or what have they said that they would like you all to do with the babies?
So as far as with elementary, there's a cap. The last I was told or understood was that we would not have no more than 9 children per day, and that they would alternate days that they would be in attendance. As far as the physical interaction, I don't believe there were any precautions. To my understanding, the only thing I was aware of that we were going to have to be wearing masks, as well as the students. But as far as how close a child could get to me or as close as I could get to a child, I'm assuming the standard 6 feet. I don't think anything outside of that. I don't think that's realistic, honestly. Just in the realms of the perimeters of how large a classroom is and just natural interactions, I don't think that's going to be taking place. I don't think it's realistic. But to my understanding, having a cap to how many students in a classroom and then wearing masks, both staff and is what I'm understanding the procedure.
So when you say, okay, so how many kids did they say you could have in your classroom?
9.
How many?
9.
Okay, that's what Coach Morton said. He said that, I guess, Coach Morton, you said that you all are only allowed to have 9 per, was it 2 coaches or 9 per coach?
You hear her, Morton?
Coach Morton? I think he's still playing with his phone. or
Get a
something.
lot of feedback.
Yep. He's still in a bad position. So each day that you're going to school, I'm trying to get an understanding and help people get an understanding. When you go teach your class, you got to have 9 kids on Monday. 9 kids.
Yeah, so yeah, they decided, I necessarily don't agree with this, but they've decided that there will be a bi-weekly schedule, group A, group B, and that on Tuesday and Tuesday and Thursday will be a group of students with a cap of 9, and Monday, Wednesday, Friday there'll be a group of students with a cap of 9, and then they will switch every other week. I personally think that will be confusing for many parents, and I think with the demographics, they're not gonna understand, okay, I can't send my child to school this day, or this day they're staying home. And there's going to be a lot of time lost that on the days they're supposed to be there, they might not come, or the days they are supposed to be there, they're not supposed to be there, they will be there. I'm really not sure how that's going to work, but I guess that was the best way to keep numbers regulated, per se.
Yeah, it's a bad. That's challenging, and I think a lot of it too. I feel like a lot of the opening up is political. I mean, let's just be honest. At the end of the day, it's all about money.
Yeah, getting kids.
Not about people's health, and so
Right.
I think that it just would have been smarter to just do remote learning for everyone. And I know that's difficult for those parents who either can't drive their kid to school,
Right.
or work. You know what I mean? I know that that's going to be a big challenge, but I just feel like it's not a good idea.
Right. Yeah.
Well, at the end of the day, I agree. I totally agree. And then, my thing is, how stressed does this make you as a teacher going into that classroom?
Yeah.
Or do you feel stressed out because school starts for CPS? When does school start?
August 24th. I'm more so not concerned for my health. I'm more so concerned with the reality of what's going to be expected of teachers to do. It's because teaching is already stressful enough. So on top of teaching now in the midst of this pandemic and having to become like a doctor, nurse, I don't even know, checking temperatures, making sure they're washing their hands, scheduling hand breaks every so often, having to monitor lunch and breakfast. I just feel I'm more so stressed about I won't even be able to do what I was hired and licensed to do. I'm going to be doing so much more than that. That's my concern. That's what's stressing me.
And they're not paying you. They're not paying y'all extra for that. Y'all already do enough work, and parents already send their kids to school. Some of them, not all, and think that the teacher's supposed to be a parent. Like they're supposed to learn certain things. That's the foundations at home. And so with that said, and that's why it takes away from learning. I mean, even you saying that teacher, it takes away from the learning as a kid. Like, how stressful is it going to be for those first graders to be thinking about, oh, I got to keep my mask on, oh, I got to stay 6 feet. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Oh, I
It's
can't touch you, or I can't eat with you, or it's just natural to be especially in the younger grades, just socially interactive, being with peers and playing and telling children like, no, you can't be around this child, you can't be. I'm not looking forward to that at all. Like, that's what's concerning me is the effects of how these precautions are going to take place in the learning and how much it's going to affect our learning.
Okay, I got a teacher that's on in the chat. Her name is Red Andrews. I don't know if y'all know her, but she says she is what's up, Red? Thanks for tuning in.
Hello.
She also works for CPS. She works for CPS. She also too have mixed emotions regarding going back to school because the pandemic has taken a complete toll. I'm sure not on her, just by herself, but you're talking about the families, the parents, and you all. And like the Dr. Anissa said, if you follow the money, you might follow what's going on and why schools are pushing to open. I don't really think they should open so quickly. So Coach Morton and Akili, y'all tell me what you think about this. This was my thought, and I don't know. Would it make a difference? I know, Akili, you work with the baby, so they won't be moving too much. They won't be moving around too much. But Coach Morton, you work with the bigger kids. You know, you will have to be. You said you're a phys ed teacher, so they're gonna be coming in and out, going back and forth. Why not just let the teacher rotate from classroom to classroom or place to place instead of having all of those kids moving around at one time? So what do you all think about that? Coach Morton, you in particular, because you the one that's working with the older kids.
Right. We can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
You on mute?
Nope. Akili, what you think about that until he get his microphone?
Right. So I had heard that. I heard some districts were thinking about that teachers would not have classrooms, that they would just rotate and the kids would stay in the classroom throughout the day. So I heard that for high schools. Now, because I'm self-contained, we don't move anywhere besides specials and lunch and recess. That's all we go to. I'm not sure what the concern of specials is right now, but I do know as for the cafeteria with eating breakfast and lunch, we're not going to have access to that. So I'm sure as if for high school, it would make most sense for the teachers to rotate throughout the day instead of having the kids rotate throughout the day.
So how your kids, how are they going to do lunch? How are they going to do lunch? How CPS
I'm assuming that they'll send classes down one by one, get their lunch and go back to the classroom since we cannot access the cafeteria to have lunch. I don't know if they'll bring lunches to the classrooms and keep the kids in the classrooms. That's something I'm not sure. I just do know that the cafeterias will not be used. And yes, we can hear you now.
But if you take the kids to the cafeteria, you're gonna have to, every time a kid go down there, you got to clean it, you got to disinfect it, and then that's gonna take time.
Yeah, and exactly. That's what I say. I feel like there's just going to be so much loss on learning, and the emphasis is going to be safety, 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 and learning is just going to take the back seat. I just feel that way. I'm just going to be so concerned with what I have to do with safety and sanitation and this, that it's going to take so much time, and it's going to be a process that's new to all of us that I don't think working with first graders that I'm going to be working with are going to be able to understand it and be able to do it with fidelity. It's going to be a daily thing. With high school, they are going to be able to, okay, got a social distance, or we can't do this, or we can't do that. But that's not natural for a child, especially, you know, in the first grade, you know. So it's a lot. It's a lot. But more, she was asking about changing classrooms in high school, having teachers.
How do you feel about that, Coach Morton? Because your babies are bigger. and you teach phys ed, which is another issue, because they say even if you sneeze, did you remember when they said if you sneeze, how the particles will just, they're just in the air for so long, for a length of time. What about the sweat?
The drop.
What about the droplets of sweat that they'll be doing if you are teaching phys ed? If track and field, you don't really touch
Right.
each other,
Yeah.
and you're really outside, but
Yeah.
what about how concerned are they with sweating, when these kids are in phys ed? Because you teach phys ed, Coach Moore. What you think about that?
Can you hear us?
Coach Morton ain't got it ready yet.
Can you hear us, Coach?
Coach can't hear yet.
Oh my goodness.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you a little bit. Hopefully you can hear me.
We hear you.
The high school schedules aren't that easy. Like, they're not wolf pack to stay with the same teacher all day. So for instance, if Barnes we all might have English 12, but my elective is art, and she needs a social studies credit from 10th grade, and I've already took whatever elective she has. So like, we thought about how are they going to get, like, the teachers can't rotate because they all need different electives and different schedules. That's going to be ugly.
It's gonna be real ugly. My doctor online says the good thing about it is you can't get it. Sweat doesn't spread, so you won't get it through the sweat. Which I guess I'm confused about, Doc. I'm really confused about it. If I can get it through a sneeze, or through the particles in the air, I'm confused at how I won't be able to get it from sweat. I ain't the doctor, Doc. You are. So that's confusing in itself to me, because if you got droplets of sneezing going on, what's the difference between droplets of sweat, in a gym, or on the track field? The Red Andrews, who's listening in, who's a teacher for CPS, unfortunately, this is a complicated situation all across the board for teachers, parents, and students. Students should be back in the classroom. Students should be back in the classroom setting, but not at the risk of contracting the virus. Lunch and breakfast will be served in the classroom. Some specials will be eliminated, and she's speaking in reference to the elementary schools.
Wow.
So she says her opinion, someone should not have broken up the pandemic team that was already in place. Well, we ain't gonna say who broke up the pandemic team.
I agree with her on that one. I agree with her 1,000% on that.
So
I was not aware that some specials would be eliminated, and now I'm very curious to know what specials they're talking about and how that's going to affect our planning. Yeah.
And that's huge, because once again, you got the babies. Coach Morton has the
high
big
school
kids, and the difference is it might be a little easier for Coach Morton to make the older children wear masks. How difficult do you think it's gonna be for those babies to wear masks?
I think it's gonna be a fight. I think it's going to be a fight. I won't use that word, but I think it's going to be a struggle. I think it's going to be a struggle, because I personally have difficulty breathing wearing a mask. I'm sure the babies are going to have, they're going to play with it, going to want to, take it off, or, forget to wear it and put it back on. They might lose this, some might happen to it. And I'm not sure if a child will have extra masks, or if a child has to have so many masks, or I think, like I said, I think what's going to happen is I'm going to be so focused on all of these preventative measures to learning, and me actually teaching, and my instructor is going to take a backseat.
And that's what they go back to what I was saying earlier. It takes away from the learning process, because now these young people, they're learning, and so now have to learn a new way of, I gotta keep my mask on, I gotta stay, I gotta work. Like, how?
That's it. It takes about 2 weeks for me to set up my classroom management routine and get it running smoothly, I don't know how long it's going to take to adjust having lunch and breakfast in my classroom, having scheduled hand washing, sanitizing breaks, having to have a mask on, having 9 students in the classroom, having to monitor stuff. That's
Stuff.
not
Yeah.
going to be as easy. Yeah.
So, and my question is, when will y'all get a break? Where's your break?
I've thought about that because if I have breakfast and I have lunch, and if specials are being eliminated, when is my planning? When is my break? It is, that's what I say. None of it sounds realistic to me. I feel like I'm gonna go into this setting and it's just
A
I'm not
disaster. It's a
forward to it.
disaster. We'll call
I'm
it
not looking forward to it. I'm not. But at the same time, it's like I'm torn because I know that there are some students who it will not benefit from remote learning, and it will be more detrimental to them to sit in front of a computer and try to gather what I'm gonna, give to them versus having in a classroom. So I don't know. I can't have my cake and eat it too, though.
It would be nice if you could. It would be
Yeah.
nice if we all could. The
Yeah.
thing about this, the unfortunate part is it's making it very difficult for all of us. It's extremely difficult for every last one of us. Although I don't have children in school,
Right.
I still have to play a part and play a role in being somewhat connected to the school. So,
Mhm.
Yeah.
which is very difficult for me and my people. But we are doing what we can on our end. But we don't have to be in there all day with the students. You are,
Right.
you
Right.
know. And once again, it's going to be very difficult. But Coach Morton can make his children.
I can hear now, and I'm on the computer.
Okay, good.
Okay.
You can make your children, make your students, make your kids wear the mask. You can make them wear the mask. But what happens, I don't know if y'all know, if a kid don't wear a mask in school, and the rules are that they wear the mask in school,
What's the consequences?
what's the repercussions? What's the repercussions?
I have no idea. That's not something they put on procedure because I feel like that's going to be a discipline thing. And it's like, it's going to take away from the learning. Oh, you have to wear your mask. I'm not wearing my mask. Then it turns into well, you have to wear because these are the safety precautions. Well, I have no idea. That's something above me that if a child is not going to wear it, where do I stand in saying you have to wear this or because you wear, you got to be sent home? Because I highly doubt that. If we want the children in school learning, and if they don't have on a mask, I have no idea.
So, do they expect you guys to wear the mask all day?
They do. They do. That was one of the things that they put into our safety procedure plan upon opening was that staff and students are expected to wear masks unless there is an underlying medical condition. Everyone is expected to wear one.
This is
and to be expected to teach a class, to keep people accountable for their masks, to spray down this, to wash your hands for that, like just at home learning. I mean,
to be a lunch lady
at home. Put the computer in front of them. Put their teacher, such as you guys, on the screen, and your classrooms with nobody in there, and them watching you. You have all the equipment and things you need at the school. Understand that, but they're on a computer and they're learning. I mean, if that's what we have to do for right now, that to me it would be the smartest way to go.
Right.
Are they giving you all? Are they giving you all supplies? Did they say they were giving you supplies for your classroom, or do they expect you to get the supplies, or did they make a list for the parents to bring the supplies to school? I mean,
Morton.
I don't know how this is going to look for PE. I mean, I can get stuff to what. Am I going to do individual basketballs or like I don't know? Do I have to wipe off everything after class, spray down Lysol? Are we only doing like if I do a line dance or we do stuff where you don't need equipment? Is that going to be the best practice? I'm still concerned about the number because gym is that big space where if there's overflow from music or overflow from computer, they throw him in PE class, but
Mm-hmm.
he can't. The social distancing, like how many people are they going to be allowed to put in gym now?
Yeah.
No,
as-
like
And to be quite honest, I mean it's stupid because you can't expect somebody to want to wear a mask and they're doing physical activity. Like that
Right.
makes no, you want people to pass out. That makes no sense.
I work out almost daily and I can't work out with the mask. I struggled when I'm sitting doing normal activity, walking in the store wearing a mask. You want me to do extreme physical activity with one? Yeah, I don't know. But as far as school supplies, in the past, I've usually always had to come out of pocket to provide school supplies, or I've had donations, or if parents do ask me within the first week, I'll say, here's this list. So I'm sure they'll provide a list for something and we can say, hey, maybe we need X amount of gloves, X amount of hand sanitizer, X amount of masks. But I have not been told that I'm going to be provided with this stuff, but I can only assume that because the stakes are so high with sanitation that they're going to give me these things to practice healthy sanitation.
But let's go back to what Coach Morton said. He's got an open gym. He's open. The space is wide open.
Right.
Do you expect him? How much time in between classes do you have to change classes, Coach?
less than 5.
Okay, so you got less than 5 minutes. You got to grab the basketball. You got to grab where they were sitting in the seats. You got to do all this stuff. Who's expected to wipe everything down every time you change a class?
Right. That's going to be hard.
That's unrealistic.
It's very unrealistic.
I mean, how many times do you see, they say don't wipe your face with your hands. What do kids do? The first thing they do is want to wipe their face and in their eyes. And,
I'm still teaching my students not to sneeze in their hand, dab, do elbow, fingers in your mouth, chewing on pencils. I'd have to disinfect pencils on a daily. I go through so many pencils weekly because I catch my students chewing on them all the time. And I guess I don't know. Throw it away. Get a pencil. It's going to be a lot. It's definitely going to be a headache. It's going to be a headache.
I mean, the stress level, right now between you all and what Red is saying on, in the chat section, I cannot imagine you have to. This is my thing for both of you guys. You teaching, you're in classroom all day, you're in the school all day, and see you later, kids, and all that. What you're gonna do? You're gonna jump in your car, but you've been around these kids, and then you got to go in your house and you got to take a shower. So every day you got to disinfect your car. You gotta, it's work on top of work.
It's work on top of work.
Indeed.
Steps. So many extra steps.
So I've got recruited by at TAF, we're all friends. All the coaches are friends. I got recruited to be a football coach, to be the sanitized coach. So every 6 minutes, they have to sanitize their hands.
Yo.
Yes. So I'm thinking, there's 4 quarters. So in the middle of every quarter, and half times, you have to sanitize your hands. And I'm like, if I'm laying on top of people, grabbing people, breathing in helmets, whatever, what is sanitizing my hands going to do? Because I'm going to touch my face between plays.
I mean,
that's comedy.
It makes no sense. And I'm a behavior specialist too, and I work with teenagers as well. And it's just like, this is craziness. And I've been essential for a while. The past couple months, I was laid off because I just refused. I'm like, no, I'm not.
Right.
I'm not putting it's just not worth.
Right.
Hassle. It's just not worth it. I'm also a parent. My daughter graduated last year, and or this year I should say, end of the last school year. And my other daughter that's still in school, we like remote learning. I'm just not about to be stressing out and stressing her out. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, I forgot. Did I wash my hands? You know what I mean? Like, it's too much.
And she's old enough and independent enough to sit in front of a computer and receive all of the information that she needs to.
She's in 7th grade, and she has my sister and her, and she goes to school with, so they're gonna buddy up in teams. So one week they'll be at our house, and the next week they'll be over at their house. So they're kind of buddying up to do it. So I think kind of smart because we've been around each other all summer ever since this happened. And so people could do that. I think that's a little bit smarter. There will be an adult that's there so that if they do have, questions on the back end that they'll be able to ask as well. But that's how we plan on doing it.
I spoke with a parent who was that I've been working with this summer at summer tutoring, and she was wondering if she could find a teacher or a tutor who would be willing to do home tutoring because she didn't want to send her children to school, but she also didn't think her children were independent enough to do the remote learning. So I know a lot of parents are looking for that too.
But the thing about it is,
the daycares as well, some of them that's going to be having kids either back at the normal volume or a small volume will have to now set up, especially school agers, will have to set up, an area for them to do remote learning if their parents are saying, for them not to go to school. And that's a lot. It's putting a lot on everybody.
Yeah.
My question to you guys, I know, say, Coach Morton, if you were not teaching phys ed, if you say you was teaching another subject, how do both of you all feel about the virtual teaching? I mean, could you do it? I mean, this summer, I guess, Akili, I don't know if you've been doing it that way.
I've been doing summer tutoring virtually, and it's successful with the students I'm working with. But the students that I'm working with aren't all students that I teach normally that are in my demographic. There are students that have access to technology that are more affluent neighborhoods or have parents or stay-at-home moms. So they have different type of support. But the students that I work with, I don't know if their environments are going to be beneficial for their learning in a what's the word I want to look for? I just really don't know if this just be beneficial for them. And when we had sent home the packets after spring break, we didn't have technology. So if they didn't have it, they just got packets. And, I went out my way to go to Kinko's and made copies and text my parents and said, hey, if you finish that packet from 2 weeks, you can come get this packet. So they will go to the school and they'll pick up this packet because they didn't have access to an iPhone. They didn't have access to an iPad or a laptop. So remote learning was pretty much non-existent for my class. I had 2 students that I was able to have a few Google Meets with, and it went pretty well. Granted, they didn't have materials besides a piece of paper and a pencil, but we made it do what it did. Now, to be on the computer trying to teach however many students, because I know in class, my cat might be 9. And on the computer, I might have to monitor all of them and not being with me in that physical presence. Oh, I got to go to the bathroom. Oh, my brother and sister is walking in the back room. Oh, my mama and my daddy in the kitchen. My auntie and cousin is up. I don't know what it's going to be like if we're all sitting on this screen and I'm trying to, hey, look at me, but you're not here. And I can't, redirect you as quickly as I want to. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm split. I'm definitely split.
Did you do any of the remote learning with any of your students outside of your tutoring, like when the pandemic first happened, or no, just the tutoring?
Are you talking to me?
Barnes?
Yeah.
Either one of y'all.
Oh, repeat. I'm sorry. I thought you was talking to more. Could you repeat that question?
Yeah, sure. Did either of you have when the pandemic first hit? Did either of you do like remote learning outside of? I know you spoke of the tutoring, and how did that go when you did remote learning at that time?
Want me to get this one, Barnes?
Yeah.
So I got lucky. I teach 2 Bells of Health as well. I don't only teach PE. So we went to an online textbook last school year. So everything is already digital for the class. I have hard copy textbooks, but it's easier. I only have like 8 books. It's easier to access the book online. So with that already in place, I'm okay with the idea of them doing it online if we have the every other day plan that they talked about, where you come to school Tuesday, but Wednesday you're off. So if you could get my instruction at least twice a week and then the online textbook to supplement it, because some things I like to tell them face to face and let them see me do it or talk about it. Because like even though they read it, some of the health content stuff, it just goes over their head. So I think it was easy to do because the way they have the textbook set up, linked up with Schoology, it's just I can like upload specific chapters to their page when they click on their health class. So it's not hard. The hard part was like accessibility for them if they don't have internet, or kids that live by the T, like they have free neighborhood internet, so they get my messages, but they can't get messages back. So I don't know if they got, and they told me after this was over, when I would see them, like, yeah, we got internet, but I see what you sending, but I can't send anything back. So I can't really grade, or I didn't fail anybody against the rules. You can fail anybody that wasn't
pass or complete. I mean, incomplete.
So a lot of them will write me messages or take a picture on their phone and send it via text to the little the Schoology app. So it's not that hard. I just don't think they got the most that they could out of it.
Right.
And I'm saying I'm ahead of the curve because every teacher has not already experienced how to do this digital textbook, and learning it like the October, September last year, it was kind of difficult to get it rolling. You got it rolling semester. I had it rolling, but everybody's not going to try. We know some teachers in our buildings are not going to try their best to get it rolling. They just going to let it do what it do. And if it doesn't do what it needs to do, then I guess these next few years of data, they will just attribute to the Rona.
Yeah.
I agree, because I had to do the remote with some of my students, and I just gave them a specific time. I called the same time every day so that it can be consistent. Yeah, I agree with you. If they don't have the resources to get internet, or like I had one of my students was on their mom's plan. Their mom like, you can't be using up all of my data. You know what I'm saying? For school, and so I understand like there are those like catch-22, or there are those challenges in doing the remote learning.
Right.
But
overall, it is the safer route.
I don't know.
In terms of safety, of course, it's the safer route.
We all can agree to that. We all can agree.
Like laptops or little tablets or whatever, so that the students can, can get their work done. But then you gotta, are they gonna return it? You know what I mean? Or is it gonna be used for what it's supposed to be used for? I know that in the past, when we did receive iPads in our class, it was a 1-to-1 ratio, and it was beautiful. However, it was limited on what the students could get on, and they couldn't download. So it was preset with everything like that. But then it was, concerns with if they took them home, would they bring them back? And they all have tracking on them per se, but they are supposed to be distributing laptops to all students through grades 2 through 12. As far as kindergarten and first, we weren't going to be having the students taking home the technology, I guess, because they're so young. So I'm not sure for the days that they weren't supposed to be reporting to school what was going to happen, but grades 2 through 12 were going to receive the technology to take to and from school.
They can do a leapfrog. Send them a leapfrog home. They got to learn somehow, some way.
Something.
Oh, without nothing.
Something. Because I saw that. I said, wait, what about first? Second grade.
They know how to work it though. They do know how to work it. I can't say that.
Yes,
yeah,
they do.
For sure. They come out the womb knowing how to operate technology.
Absolutely. What? They can do it better than we can. I got a question on the table from somebody that's listening and watching. They said, what about the students with disabilities? So I don't know if I know that might be more of a question for you compared to Akili, but I don't know if Akili, if you got any kids that are, disabilities. I mean, so what are they going to do about those students?
Those teachers over the break, or not the break, finishing the school year out, those teachers were the one working the hardest. We would have weekly senior meetings, because I'm on the senior committee, because some of you have to take health to graduate. So I would give my update on who's progressing and finishing their health credit. Some of those interventions or those modifications that you got to give to those students are hard in school, harder out of school, and then if you have the parents who actually follow up and make sure that everything is in place, like those teachers work their butt off. So it's going to be hard. Hopefully we go every other day and they can maximize while they're at school, but it will be a challenge for those people.
It's very difficult.
I did have a few students on IEPs in my classroom with disabilities, but their disabilities were more so behavioral. And I did have a hard of hearing student. So I don't know how that would work. Keeping in mind with my hard of hearing student, if we did go through remote learning, I don't know how he would learn anything sitting in front of a computer, listening to me, not being present with him. It was hard enough trying to work with him in school, sitting in front of the computer. I don't know how that will work. So that is a great question. What about those students? Like Morton said, those teachers who are special ed certified, they're probably even more stressed than me. Honestly, they're probably feeling it more.
Yeah, they stressed.
And I'm sure
They
they
fall through
are.
the cracks. They fall through the
Yeah.
cracks, unfortunately.
Yeah.
They do fall through the cracks. And the thing about it is when this pandemic hit back in March, and when they were trying to figure out who was going to do what and how they was going to do
Right.
it, did they offer any kind of free internet access to these kids so it won't take away the data from their parents' phone, or because unlimited data, everybody don't have money to pay for unlimited data. Some people are month to month, week to week, you got a percentage. So did they even offer free internet?
They did. From my understanding, it was a top down. It was high school, middle school, well, which is in high school, and then elementary. But it honestly never made its way to elementary because, like I said, I had two parents that had access to letting their child use their iPhones, but they didn't have an iPad or a laptop. I had 19 students, so I had 17 students that I was not able to have access to. And I would text the parents, hey, did they do their daily worksheet today? They were supposed to just send pictures. That's how we were doing, just me pictures of them completing their worksheets. That wasn't successful. But no, it was supposed to be that they were going to distribute the free Wi-Fi so they could have access, if they had, an iPad, a laptop, or an iPhone. But I don't think it finished being distributed out. I know they started with high school, and I don't think it made their way down.
Because I have someone named Tiffany Embry that's on, and her question is, what's going to happen with pre-K and kindergartners if they're not going to get laptops? My thing is, right, are they even coming to school? Do they expect the pre-K and kindergartners, maybe even to the first grade? You said because they're going to go 2nd to 12 with the laptops. Yeah. Are pre-K and kindergartners even coming to school?
I have a paper that they sent to us, I think, discussing grade levels, and I'm not sure, but to my knowledge, I believe that at least for first grade, yes, they were expecting them to come to school through the bi-weekly schedules in the cap of 9 per day. As for kindergarten and pre-K, I am not too certain about that. I really can't speak on that, but they were expecting first graders. We just would not be able to send home the technology on a daily basis.
So I guess you guys have intervention specialists that work with the disabled children, those that have real disabilities, and I don't mean IEPs, because with me personally, IEP is not a disability. It's just a label that they put on a kid.
Right. I would agree.
That's just me. I'm not an educator. Yeah. That's just common sense to me. Yeah. Being around educators for a long time. Right. I think IEP is a label we put on kids to get money. Once again, as Dr. Anissa said, follow the dollars, you'll figure out what's going on. So I guess you guys have, so in phys ed, in the gym, does the intervention specialist come with the kid?
No, but they check in with me. So like if I'm doing basketball and I give out the referee sheet with the hand signals to try all the free throws or whatever the fouls, they'll go over the signal like the cue, because I do a written test like once every 2 weeks, because we're still, I want them to learn something. Everybody's not motor developed to do well on all the physical activities. So it's a little paper and pencil in there somewhat. So when they need to, they come, they'll check in with me. But a lot of the times they don't have to come. So they don't, but they try to follow up with me. I guess, but they have larger caseloads. They don't want to have to worry about what they're doing in gym the whole time.
Now, this is my thing. Do you guys expect those students with physical disabilities to come back to school?
I would not expect them, but at the same time, if the support is at school, then maybe so. Like if what they need for their disability they can't have at school, I mean at home, it's not being provided for them, then maybe. But then at the same time, maybe with special ed, depending on the disability the teacher has of that has to work with that child, maybe they'll have home instruction, or that might be something those special ed teachers will do, provide home instruction on a rotating schedule or something to prevent the confusion of this day, that day, and whatnot.
Other than what, this is a question that's posed in the chat, other than what CPS has given you all in a packet, the expectations for you to read it and to know it by August 24th, whenever the date is, you're supposed to 14, 24th. What additional strategies for social emotional learning for your students have you come up with? Or have you come up with any additional strategies for your children?
They through a remote learning process or being back in school?
Both.
Both. I'm gonna have to think this through, because that's something that I've been thinking about, is if we do return. One, I'm probably gonna be overjoyed because I have not seen some of my students since March. And it's the thinking, are they eating? If they're eating, what are they eating? How have they been? Are they outside? Are they having experiences? Are they learning? Have they read a book? My mind is just all over the place. But one thing I probably am going to address is their health. How are you doing? How was being at home for so long? You miss your friends, you miss your teachers, you miss this, you miss that. And I think I would consider that as being traumatic. I was in school, I was doing this, and then all of a sudden my world just like stopped. I'm locked up in my room, I'm with this, I can't do this, can't do that, can't have that, can't go there. And I'm thinking to focus more with the academics on their social emotional. How are you doing? How are you feeling? How can I help you? Because me being at home all the time, it's depressing for me. So I'm pretty sure for a child that wants to go to their birthday party or can't have their birthday party, I'm not sure how that's affecting them. So I definitely feel that I'm going to have to be more aware of my students' social emotional needs, because it's not going to be normal for them to return in this state.
I was gonna say, someone asked, what are you guys' strategies? Have they given you all any strategies on how to deal with those, so those kids socially and emotionally?
I'm sure during the week of training, there will be more than enough information provided. Right at the moment, I haven't received here are strategies to check in with students. I don't know if you have more, but I'm sure during that week of training we have prior to school starting, we will have more than enough information.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you have to come up with your own strategies.
Yeah.
For these children.
Yeah.
Also, with addition to what CPS is hopefully offering you all in the students.
Yeah. It's not a one size fit all. It definitely won't be that.
Right.
I'm gonna have to tailor my strategies to each student individually based on their needs.
When we first got on there, Barnes was saying that she was a parent, and I'm not only a parent, I'm a grandparent. Like, my students have kids. Yes. So there's another level of social emotional we have in the PE health. We would meet online once a week, just the PE health teachers, and they have a plan for us to integrate socially and not just talk about the PE or the health, but being people and being part of the environment. And this is a great teachable moment for all health classes. I'm probably spend two weeks, an extra week on this unit, if not more, because there's so many misconceptions with our kids on what this really is and what's really going on, and we can't get it and all this other stuff. So I want to clear that up first, because it's real. One of the volunteer basketball coaches is in the hospital now.
he's not doing well. So I want them to know, like, it's not just you heard it on TV, because they really at first they really couldn't get the concept like with us, but we were still in school that last week, and they were like, well, who got it? Like they got off an airplane, we don't go nowhere, and I was like, that's not how this works.
Right.
Like I really think we could. This might put that light bulb in their head. We do the glitter with the blue hand sanitizer, and I shake your hand and shake Barnes' hand and whatever. But like this will make it more concrete for that extended learning of like you can get this transmission through droplets. If I sneeze on you and then you shake somebody's hand, which goes back to how are we gonna play football? I know OSHA lost a lot of money, and I follow the money. And when you talked about special ed come with money. People know that. Like when you talk about those kids with those disabilities, they got dollar signs by them, and those IEPs better be up to date.
Yeah.
So with OSHA losing all this money, and they're gonna play football, like that dollar sign versus the kids' health, but the kids want to play, so they're willingly running into this. So who's to let the kid protect themselves? Who's gonna say, no, y'all not playing? I don't care how you feel. Too much is at risk.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying? The economy opening back up in schools is part of that, and the kids really want to play sports. So, I mean, it's that chance you take. I mean, I'm on the sideline as well. So, like, if they get it, I'm gonna get it. But I feel like I live by myself. I'm not taking it home to grandma or the little baby that's 3 months old. So if I get it, I think my chances are I can probably beat it.
Hopefully, we pray you beat it.
Hopefully I can beat it.
We pray you don't ever have to deal with that.
I don't want to get it. I don't want to get it.
So there's a question on out here. It says if a student don't have access to internet data and no work is received from the student because of the lack of data and the internet, what happens to that student as far as moving to the next level? Now, did you all experience that when you guys, when school was out in March? Because a lot of kids, now, Coach, you know this specifically. Akili, you might not because your baby's little. You know that there were a lot of kids that were not up to par with passing and graduating from high school. Now, with that being said, is it because they didn't have the data or they didn't have internet and they couldn't do the work, or they weren't provided enough work to do that they were allowed to move forward? I don't know if you can speak on that. I don't even know if you want to speak on that, but what happens if a kid doesn't have any access? Do you move them forward to the next grade level?
This opened a whole can of worms that I never thought about. So initially, kids, the same grade, repeat grade, get a new grade. It was all fine and dandy until kids started failing, and then kids were going to be ineligible for sports. And nothing makes the mom and the dad call quicker than when their child is ineligible to play football, volleyball, etc. So OSHA declared every kid eligible after the summer, because I had 3 or 4 kids who I would go say they're poor, but they didn't have internet, and these are good kids. So I was like, look at the kid individual basis. If I know Barnes typically does her work, she got B's and A's, why not go ahead and pass her if the only thing you're doing is hurting her from playing sports, because she was going to go to the next grade anyway. That's going to be that's another thing, because the way football set up, after the first quarter, the playoffs is in the second quarter. So if you didn't turn anything in again for first quarter, because some kids figured out the system, they can't fail. They're not going to do anything.
Right.
I log on every day, and because we can see if they logged on, but they could say, wouldn't let me turn in, I couldn't submit, whatever. So some kids beat the system. So is that kid not going to get to play after first quarter ends because they didn't turn in any work? That's gonna be the topic.
Something to think about.
I know how they do. I know some kids who live in 2-parent households and have everything they need to get all their work done, didn't do nothing. I know the kid that's struggling just has to go to the library or sit by the library because the library was closed so he can connect to the Wi-Fi. They did a whole lot of stuff. So it's really the kid itself, but how can you draw that line in the sand and say this cut it, this made it and that didn't? So they're gonna play the game. Some kids are gonna get burnt, some kids is gonna make it, but it's gonna be ugly.
Parent participation. How much parent participation have you gotten since the pandemic took place? Both of y'all. How much parent participation? Because at some point in March, from March to May, you had to communicate. They had to communicate. Somebody had to communicate with you. How much parent communication did you receive? Because now the fish is much bigger than it was from March to May. We're trying to get August of this year to 20
to another year
of next year. So
Yeah.
how much is the parent? Because this is big. The parents got to participate.
They have to buy in. Yep.
They
Yeah,
got
the parents now realize that, okay, they're a part of the child's learning. And I think that it wasn't a revelation until they realized my child is stuck with me. There's no more school. Now I basically have to teach the child. Then it's like, oh, you are a part of this child's learning. You have to help me teach your child. Before it was like you pull up to school, you drop them off, you pick them up, and that's just that. There's no follow-up, there's no assistance, there's no triangular support system where it's me, the child, and the parent. And I think Corona brought that into perspective, like, hey, look, parent, I can't see your child, I can't work with your child, so what's going to happen? And like I said, I had 2 students. I had a class of 19. I had 2 students that I was successfully able to have a few Google Meets with. Of the remaining students, like I said, I sent them packets, and I probably got an additional 4 more parents that sent pictures of work. And even if they sent the pictures, I had to hassle for it. Hey, how are they doing? You know, what's going on? So and so. And there were some parents that since March I have not seen or heard from. And it's August. And I don't know if it was due to a lack of communication and cell phone, or I'm not even sure, but there were some parents that after March 13th, I had not heard from and still have not heard from. So that parent piece, it's beyond important. It's probably the most important, because now it's like the learning of your child is really in your hands. Like, I'm going to be there and doing all that I can, but it's how much are you willing to do for the sake of your child? And unfortunately, some of my students have probably, or just the demographic, probably haven't done much from March to now due to the lack of technology, for one, and not having the parental support that other, affluent districts.
right.
So,
And I got another question that's out here on the table. Now, you guys know that by now, you guys would have had some type of so-called professional development meeting.
mhm,
Now, have you had one?
no.
Are they trying to provide one? Or did they say anything about a professional development meeting, and how they're going to provide you guys with that?
Isn't our PD gonna be the
We-
week through the 18th through the 21st?
Yeah, we got that coming up. I think it's gonna be more like at your homeschool base. PE and health, we knocked out all of ours like in the second half of the Corona. Once we realized we wasn't coming back, like our department chair and our steering committee put all our stuff together, and we had like online Zoom calls, and we knocked all ours out. So we should be, well, PE and health should be straight for the time being.
Yeah. But yeah, the district PD trainings are going to be through the 18th through the 21st, and then school is going to start the 24th. So, like, I haven't had an official PD through the district for Corona. I haven't had anything like that. So I think everything I'm going to receive is going to start August 18th and go through August 21st.
So when do you all physically, the teachers, what date did they give you all? Is it the 18th?
Yeah.
Or the 24th, that you can physically take yourself back into that building?
Oh, I just know physically we start the 24th. Now that for the PDs, I'm not even sure if they're going to be in person. I just assumed that they were going to be in person, because if we're going to be returning back to school, I'm assuming that these meetings will be in the school. I don't think it would be very smart for us to have PDs virtually and then go to the building the 24th, not having already been in the building. I would hope that my first day in the building, prior to setting up my classroom, will not be the first day of school. So So I'm really not sure about that, if we're going to have PD in person or if that's going to be virtually.
So here we are at the end of July. August 1st is Saturday.
That's crazy.
This is the piece that bothers me. And I guess, excuse my language, it pisses me off that they haven't given you all of the information that you need. You don't know when you're going back into school. School starts back on the 24th. You don't know what supplies you're going to have as far as cleaning. You don't know who's going to clean. You don't know if you're going to, what the professional development day is between 18th and the 24th. There's a whole lot of things that you all don't know that you probably should have known by now. Because if I was a parent and if I'm asking Coach and Miss Akili questions, and you can't answer the freaking question for me as a parent.
There's a lot of unknowns.
I would be pissed off. Every parent should be down at the Board of Education, down at CPS on Burnett Avenue, asking some questions about what's going on and how do they plan on doing things with their kids. This is the problem that I have, the lack of communication. Everything cannot be done on a freaking laptop. Everything cannot be done by freaking put the thumb drive in there and then you pop it up on the screen. You can't always do that.
Right.
Barnes, did you see the email? We have to get all the CPS employees and coaches are getting COVID tested, correct? You seen that email?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody. I want to say you got to have your test done by the 14th.
But what sense does that make? Because on the 18th or the 24th, you could have got it again.
And I was like, if they got the timeline for the test to come back, but what happens in the scenario that enough teachers test positive at a certain school? What happens then? Do you have subs? Do you shut that school down?
It's a lot of, I just feel like it's a lot of rush that made decisions, and a lot of stuff that's not really been thought through. I don't know if you all have got the survey or not, or any of your parents got the survey. I'm in Sycamore School District, and so they had a survey sent out. But I just think that it's just I think it's gonna be chaos. Again, I'm agreeing with Tuck. Like, more information. You guys should have way more information by now.
By now,
so this
lot.
is what I received in the mail last week. This is the most information that I have received outside of just general emails. This is the most formal information I received as far as reopening. So I'm just referring to this.
Okay, tell me this. Is that the same letter that I received in the mail? And I ain't even got no kids. I received it in the mail from CPS, and they expect you to sit there and go through everything that they have listed or what they're saying. But it's really not saying what you all are expected to do.
Yeah.
It's half of what they're expected to do, but it's not the whole picture. And that's the problem. That's why I'm so angry, because I did read it. And this is the question.
Yeah, this is the information I have. There's a lot of information that I am still wondering or I'm curious about, but this paper is what I've been basing how school is going to reopen.
Wow. I still think it's up in the air. Like, just my personal opinion, I think they don't want to say they're not going to have school until the umpteenth hour when we're like 4 days away, because they don't, as the other districts around us close or go to all online, I think they're just going to wait and play it out. Like, I still don't feel like we're going back. I'm going to prepare myself to go back, but I still feel like,
I think that if we go back, we're not going to go back for long. I just personally,
And
then in the plan, they said they plan for the possibility of returning to an all remote learning. So I think that if we go back, it won't be for throughout the whole season. And if it might be for a period of time, and then maybe in the spring we return. I don't know, but I don't see us staying in school from August to May on the bi-weekly that they have planned for us. I don't see that happening.
And it's crazy. It's all crazy to me. It doesn't make sense to me. Every school in the United States of America plans to open in August. my thing is, we were talking today earlier, the difference between, and somebody said it. I mean, I said it, to be honest, I did. The question came up, what's the difference between private schools and Cincinnati public schools? So y'all answer that question, because some of Cincinnati public school teachers and parents are in an uproar about their children going back to school, schools opening during the pandemic, whereas the private schools really don't have too much to say. They're okay with their children going back to school. They feel like the schools are doing whatever they can for their child to be safe. What's the difference between the public school and the private school?
I don't see a difference.
The money, the control. Our
Besides that,
the city bus, like our kids ride city bus. Like, you know how many germs is on a city bus
Right.
before they even get to school?
Yep. And that's what Tiffany said. Tiffany said, how is the yellow bus service going to work when it comes to social distancing?
Yeah, that was another thing. That's gonna be an all-day process. That's all day.
hold on. Let's see how that's gonna work. Because I read something about transportation.
Columbus, Ohio is starting a remote. They're doing remote classes starting in August.
So
Columbus.
they're not going back in person.
It's posted on the chat that Columbus is doing remote starting in August. And the difference, you said it, Coach, difference between public and I said this earlier too during our conversation, the difference between public and private is size and money.
Right.
Is money.
Resources. Yeah.
Money.
Okay. That. But as for the transportation, getting to school, says for bus riders, masks will be required and seats will be assigned. The goal of one student per seat, except for siblings, and the bus drivers will monitor the students for these safety procedures. Buses will be smaller and enclosed spaces. They will create an additional risk with safety precautions in place, and that they encourage parents who can drive to drive.
So which is crazy. Once again, which is crazy. Every one child per seat. You know how many kids ride the bus?
That's an ongoing process. And there was a lot of parents that they don't have transportation.
Right. A lot of our students walk with their parents. Thank God we don't have a high bus population, but the students that are bused in our school are out of neighborhood. But most of our students walk. So that's that on buses.
And you got 40 seats on the school bus, I guess, or the bus can carry 40 kids. I don't know how many kids, 2 kids to a seat. You only gonna have one kid per seat. How many?
And not all seats are supposedly gonna be available for
Okay.
How many buses you got going? Cincinnati Public Schools got what? 60
That's gas.
schools?
That's more money. You know, I mean, it's not. They're not thinking.
So I do not agree.
That money that they're spending on gas, that money that they're spending on gas for trips for kids to get to the building, they can use to get the laptops, tablets,
right,
for these kids to, you know what I mean, to be set up to be equipped for the remote learning until there's a vaccine or until, you know, things change.
Right.
About the every other day scenario, but who gets to pick what every other day looks like? Is it? I suggested all boys one day, all girls the next, because it would make practice schedules easier or whatever, and it would decrease teenage pregnancy if all the boys was at school one day. Because if you do 7, 8, 9, and then 10, 11, 12, they're all at home, and there's no way to turn off bus cards. So if it's your day to remote learn, your bus card's going to work all day. I'll be all over the city.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Less distractions that way with all boys and all girls.
And you know, like if they wanted to do the last name, we know the siblings all don't have the same last name. So you two got to stay home and you got to close. Like that's I think,
right.
As it gets closer, like if Columbus already did it and a couple more people, especially the Louisville, the Indianapolis, the metropolitan areas, if they all go, we would be a fool not to. Like I think they're just waiting.
I think DeWine will probably make a decision because I felt that we were one of the states that was last on determining if we were or were not going to come back. States had decided April. we're not coming back. We were still like, okay. I'm sorry, they had decided. Yeah. We were like, okay, are we gonna come back? Are we not? I was hopeful, okay, well, maybe we'll come back like for the last 3 weeks of May. So I think that DeJuan may make the decision if he does, and it's probably going to be sometime near and dear to the beginning of schools.
Mhm.
We have decided that we will not be opening schools probably weeks before we're supposed to start. I don't think that the decision is going to be made
Days.
before August.
Right. My thing is, Dr. Fauci said our numbers in Ohio are rising. As you guys know, Kentucky is getting ready to shut down again, from what my understanding is, or something that I read, because they're just above wherever they're supposed to
So
be.
then they must be in the purple. They must be in the purple. That's the next
Yeah,
level.
after 4th of July, people thought it was over.
No, it's not over.
It's not over.
And they think when winter comes or when the weather breaks, it's gonna be over, but it ain't gonna be
Well,
over.
we got cold and flu season coming up, and so
Everything is coronavirus.
whew,
So
God help us all. Woo!
yes,
Lord.
Lord. We don't gotta talk about Jesus on talk radio.
the one thing that we all know is prayer changes things. All you got to do is believe and have the faith, and you got to pray about it. So we appreciate you guys coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you for having this discussion.
Yes.
Thank you for providing me with the opportunity.
Thank you.
We don't have all the answers. Y'all don't have all the answers, but at least you gave some answers to what you feel and what you think and what you know that's going to happen. I'm like you guys, in a few days, we're gonna be getting the word that Cincinnati Public Schools will be going strictly remote.
I'm waiting for it. I'm hopeful that something's gonna give, and we'll see.
So
we came to a point in our show where we let you guys give us a positive quote. So all of our listeners, we get listen out worldwide. We always leave it with a positive quote. So either one of you can start with one if you have one.
Ooh, off the top of my head. Ooh. I'll say this. A mind is a terrible thing to waste. That's my positive quote.
All right.
Terrible thing to waste.
I don't have a quote, but in a theory, I've been talking about lately, like following up. Like when you do something or you communicate or you got something going on, that extra follow-up can be the difference. So whatever you got going, make sure you follow up, or even if it's complete, like checking, just do that extra little step, that extra little bit. It can make all the difference in getting things accomplished, getting things done. So I'm gonna say follow up.
Okay.
follow up and follow your dream. And y'all, what you got, Shanice? What you got, Shanice?
I was just gonna say, it's not necessarily a quote, but just you guys stay positive. Do what you feel is best for yourself, because at the end of the day, nobody's gonna think about you but you.
Right.
And so a lot is being put out on the line, and at the end of the day, it's not. People are dying. People are losing their lives, and it's not worth a child's life. It's not worth any of our lives. So do what your gut is telling you to do. Do what you feel is right. In these hard times, so stay positive.
Right.
Yep, you guys stay healthy, stay safe.
Thank you. You do the same.
Coach, we are praying for Trey Potter. We're going to send prayers up for my brother that, he gets well, because he is a big influence on those kids at Taft High School.
Right.
Yeah.
He's been around for a long, long time. So we're going to pray that God bring him out, and he'll have a testimony to tell everybody once we get out. And, he'll be a walking, living testimony that if you do right, be right, you will survive this thing. And y'all know I got a favorite quote, but one of my quotes that I love to say is that we live to learn and we learn to live. And on that note, y'all know it's always better to give than it is to receive. And we'll see you next week. Hey, thanks for joining us, guys.
I'm gonna tune in.
Love you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.